She's in love with who I am. Back in high school, I used to bust it to the dance. Yeah. Now I hit the FBO with duffels in my hands. I did have like a light, ayy. Slept through the flight, ayy. Not for the night, ayy. 767, man, this shit got double bedroom, man. I still got scores to pay the price, yeah. Think it's sweet, it's on sight, yeah. Nothing nice, yeah. Back, that's what we like, yeah. Lost my respect, you not a threat. When I shoot my shot, that shit wetty like on Shaq. See the shots that I took, ay, wet like on Book, ay, wet like on Lizzie. I be spinning valley circle blocks till I'm dizzy. Look who I am. Back in high school, I used to bust it to the dance. Now I hit the FBO with duffels in my hands. Woo. I did half a ran 13 hours till I land. Had me out like a light, 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 like a light. Yeah, past the dozen cellies. Yeah, I'm back with Boo. It's lit. La Ferrari to Jamba Juice. Yeah, we back on the road. They jumping off no parachute. Yeah, shorty in the back. She say she worked. Just check the foots. Yeah, pass this to my daughter. I'ma show her what it took. Yeah. Baby mama cover Forbes. Got these other shook. Yeah.
A diving mask with a mouthpiece which is feeding air, being fed air from the surface.
That's
so it's not like a tank where you're going deep.
Yeah.
No, we were doing wreck diving, so we were 90, 100, 110 feet down. There was a pipe.
Yeah.
There was a pipe that came out of one of the wrecks, and this little Moray eel was actually in this pipe, and he kept popping his head out.
Oh my god!
Like
that is definitely something that I would love to try. I'm serious.
The beauty of just the ecosystem that is below the ocean, and I'm not going to turn into a
Jacques Cousteau
preaching about ocean and pollution the whole bit, but we really do need to be careful what we're doing to our oceans, because it's just like I said, it's unbelievable what goes on below the surface of the water, and where we have these underwater cities and stuff like that. Someday man is going to get there. Someday man is going to get there. And, it'll be cool when that happens. I mean, to a certain degree, it kind of happens now where are able to look out into a swimming pool or something like that. So, you're going to start seeing stuff like that where it's in the ocean. And, it's cool. It really is.
I saw a video on Facebook, and it was really sad because I was just floating.
Showing what?
Pollution.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Oh my god, it's like you see the diver with like his camera, and he's just kind of trying to dodge like plastic bags and bottles and all this stuff, and he's just going through it. I'm like, wow.
I can imagine. Actually, in Hawaii, they are getting ready to pass the.
California's already done it.
Yeah, I know, but California does it. California does it for a whole different reason. Hawaii's doing it because they don't want to see their oceans get destroyed. And let's face it, you're talking about a little plot of land in the middle of a giant friggin' ocean. And, here it is. They've already got enough problems. They got volcanoes and hurricane that came ripping through. Fortunately, the hurricane stayed south of us. just all it did was bring in some strong winds and kicked up the tides and stuff like that, but didn't hit the islands. But you have Mother Nature wreaking havoc. We don't need to go, and I ended up going. So hey, let's get back to comics, man.
Yeah,
that's what I came here to do. I came to talk about comics.
So you just got back from Hawaii. What happened in Hawaii? Tell me about it, because I heard you got an interview with somebody by the name of Roy.
Roy show it's Comic-Con Honolulu. My hat goes out to the staff that put it on. They put on a great show. It's a smaller show. They actually started out more of like an anime kind of environment, and it is a media, more comic guest. This year, I was responsible for bringing Roy Thomas out, bringing Billy Tucci and Terry Moore. Alex Savick was there, which I had dinner with 2 nights out of 4 or 5 nights that we were there for the con. So we're talking 3 legitimate A-listers that we're talking about bringing to Hawaii next year for Comic-Con Honolulu, which will be taking place the first weekend of August. So you know what? Put that on your calendar. I mean, think about this. If you want to take a vacation and you're a comic geek, what better way to do it than to go to a Comic-Con? I mean, and of course, how can I forget our brother in arms, who's still there? Who's still there? He's still there. He was there at the show, and he was a busy little beaver. He really was.
Yeah.
He was there, and he had his crew there. Jax was there, and everyone for people. People were having a good time. It was like I said, it was a fun show. And it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. So hopefully next year, hopefully my goal is next year we're going to have Geeked Out going live.
So get this, we can kind of package this in the whole thing, because me and De Niro are actually heading out there this weekend.
Yeah, I heard.
So if the events happen on the same weekend, we could totally do it.
Well, then now the problem is the con is locked into the time they have at the convention center. It would be a crying shame if you had to stay like an extra week.
I know.
De Niro, hey, could you handle that, having to stay in Hawaii for an extra week? I know I'd be twisting your arm to do that, right? He's falling out of his chair going, oh, please.
It's like, oh, somebody stop me.
He does the tops are optional events.
Oh, the toptional.
The Toptional. Yes, we'll see if we can get you set up to do a Toptional event in Hawaii.
I would not complain.
I don't think he'll come back after that. Topless girls, Gee, I wonder where they are. But anyway, no, like I said, it was a good time. Roy was there. Roy was there Friday and Saturday. He was only there for the 2 days. You know what? He stayed busy. It's not like he had a constant crowd of people twiddling with thumbs or anything. And I know both Billy and Terry both told me that they had great shows. They sold original art, they sold prints, they were signing for fans, and they had time to enjoy the island as well. So it was a good time for everyone.
I want to say, because it's Hawaii that you get on the East Coast. Would you say
in
that
what way? What do you mean?
Like in terms of people that want to buy, because how often does a con?
Well, I don't know. I can't. I don't know if I'm going to compare it to East Coast shows. East Coast shows are just a whole different animal. But yeah, being Hawaii, it's not like you can go one state over. One state over is thousands of miles away.
One state over is Guam.
Well, that's the other direction.
I know, the other direction, or California.
But yeah, people. The thing is that people, I want to say about a month and a half to 2 months, 2 on Oahu, and then 1 on the Big Island. And the difficult part about that, obviously, is the fact that the fans, when they're going to go to, it's real difficult for them to choose to go to both of them.
Especially if you don't live on those islands, you got to fly over. Like if you live in Hawaii, you got to fly over to Oahu.
If you're on one of the other islands and you have to fly to Oahu, I think that's going to be kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
One of them, I will simply say this: we are working on one of our favorite people, Chris Claremont. I didn't say that, and we're working on one of our other favorite people,
Stan Lee. No, who's our other favorite person?
wins the door prize. So anyway, no, those again, these are people that are being talked about, bounced around a whole bit. We'll see what happens. But con-wise, boy, we got a lot of stuff ahead of us. I mean, this weekend we have terrific con show as well. And then basically you've got other shows. We're not necessarily going to be at these shows, but you have Dragon Con coming up. You have Fan Expo coming up. There's a show. There's I think the Long Beach Comic Con or Comic Expo or whatever. Then you have the Monster Baltimore Comic Con coming up at the end of September. There's Vegas Fan Fusion. That's the same weekend as Baltimore. That's going to be going on. And then the weekend after Baltimore, you have New York Comic Con. Las Vegas being the 17th and 18th of November, and that is Great American Comic Con.
Yeah!
Oh!
Looking out for that one.
I had to fit that one in, didn't I?
No, of course you had to. I'd be surprised if you didn't.
Yeah, really. Really. Got to start doing some shameless plugs at this point. So
who do you... Okay, American.
Oh, my God.
Hold on.
Who's my list? Let's just look that up, and we'll just start naming them off.
Because we might as well start plugging away now, because it's,
let me just go to the website. That would be the easiest. One of my big names, well, basically some of the people that I'm really excited about having are guys that haven't been here in a really long time. People like Tom DeFalco.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Tom DeFalco. Alan, he just called me yesterday and stuff, and he's like, he wanted to, he's like, I want to make sure I come back and I have family. Randy was real big in the Carnage story arcs and stuff. Yeah. Tony Isabello, who is the co-creator of Black Panther.
No relation to.
I'm sorry, Black Lightning. Bringing in another Silver Age artist, which I enjoy bringing some of the older guys. Wonder Woman back in the 60s and 70s.
Okay. Well, Transformers was 80s.
Well, okay, but he worked on the early days of Transformers.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, and a couple that celebrating their 40th anniversary in comics. Have you ever heard of this little niche group called ElfQuest?
Free was couldn't stop talking about it.
Free was screaming like a little. Elliot Medgen, who had a great run on Superman. Back in the 90s.
I see Rick Leonardi there.
Rick Leonardi's
one of my favorites.
Yeah, Rick Leonardi's coming in. Kyle Baker, who Arthur said I'm in. Ron Wilson's coming back. Michael Golden's coming back. Also, we have Norm Ruttman coming in, and we also have Kelly Jones.
Oh man,
and
that's a great lineup.
And I'm not done. I have some more. And while we're at Terrific Con, and I'm hoping to be able to add them to the lineup. And I think that's going to give us a really nice, rounded lineup of just guys who have worked on stuff. Obviously, you talk about Bellman going on all the way back to the 40s. You have Jose Delbo. So it's that's what I like to bring to the show. That's what I like to bring to Las Vegas. Is that way fans are able. They're not getting just their stuff from the 90s forward getting signed. They're able to go into their stuff deep and get stuff.
Nice, well-rounded.
Yeah, from the 70, 80 years of comics that have been going. A couple of celebrity guests that we are firming up the arrangements now that we are going to, and these celebrity guests are tied to comics, which I have to be careful with. Okay, and that's one of my things. I try to make sure that if I'm going to bring in a celebrity, that I want them somehow tied to a comic.
Can we get Tommy Walker to come back?
Maybe.
Because I love that guy.
Tommy's a hoot. He really is.
I have to say, man, like I post my stuff, like my comic book stuff on Instagram all the time. Yeah. And that guy is always found liking my stuff, commenting and stuff.
He's a go-getter.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we ended up catching up with each other back in May at the show in Ontario. And basically, he told me to reach out to him as we get a little bit closer to the show. Because a lot of it depends on what his schedule is. He's starting to get really, really busy. And I think he also has another one or two other series that he's either on or he was negotiating with.
The one that he's really pushing for right now is supposedly they're making, I don't know if it's a TV series or a movie or what, but it is Booster Gold. He's trying.
One of the ones he mentioned that they were negotiating or talking to at the moment. Yeah. So And again, that's why he wanted me to check back with him as we got closer to the dates.
Yeah.
Because he'll have to see what his is that one of them is in a really, really popular sci-fi series right now. But the hint for this individual is that he played in one of the early Marvel movies. He played the main character in one of the early Marvel movies. I want to say, I'll let everyone do some guessing there. It shouldn't be too hard to figure it out, but
If I get in front of a computer,
he played a real badass. I'll simply say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, we're looking forward to it. We get the name. What is that ticketing agency that does the discounted tickets?
Oh, like Groupon?
Groupon. We're going to be launching a Groupon campaign.
Nice.
Starting the beginning of September. We're also going to see some of the VIP packages posted up on the website. And for those of you that are thinking about wanting to get a table or a booth, you better grab it now because prices are actually going to be going up come September 1. So
gotcha.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news on that one. Originally, I was going to do it August, but breath.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with Great American.
Wow. Busy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so
what
we have
going for today?
We just have our top 3 topics of the day. We ready for that?
Yeah.
Let's hit it.
Oh.
I like that better because you know what? This is the first time you can actually that the people on our YouTube live video can actually hear the theme music.
Oh, really?
I believe so, right?
It pipes through on a different channel.
Okay, first one is. Hold on, let me get my timer ready because. Okay. First question is: if comic books started in the late '80s, early '90s, who would be our legends instead of like Kirby, Stan? He answered via text.
I know.
So here's his answers. He would say that Chris Claremont would be our. I guess that would be our Stan, right? Jim Lee would be the artist. Todd McFarlane would also be another artist.
Okay.
That would be our legends, our new legends. So
you have John Jr.
Yeah.
You, as far as writers, let me think here. Okay, so we have Chris. We have David Michelinie.
Oh yeah.
Okay, David, basically being on Spider-Man, on Iron Man. I mean, he just did a ton of stuff. Wolfman. Jerry Conway. Those are what comes to mind writing wise. Artist wise, oh my God, you have several of the guys that ended up going over to Image, but then you had the guys that stayed strong with DC and with Marvel, but you had, like I said, John, Jim, Todd.
So many.
I know, but you know what? Every single one of them would sit there and say they wouldn't be where they are today
without.
If it had not been for the original legends, the Bermudez guys are from this, the 50s, 60s. You have the Joe Simons going back to the 40s. Actually, Jack Kirby in the 40s as well. And that's just kind of like the Marvel side. I mean, you have Carmine Infantino over at DC. A whole bunch of them over on the DC and in the independent side. So, comics, I'll tell you, comics today really owes a huge debt of gratitude to Marie Severin. Was a huge contributor back in the 60s and 70s, and just basically, like I said, the industry wouldn't be where it is today. Look at our entertainment industry. Look at the movies. The movies
expected.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is that you have all these movies that have come out over. I mean, Marvel's celebrating their 10-year anniversary of Marvel Studios, and they had 20 movies that came out in those 10 years. What's that? DC with what they've put out. So you think about how much of an effect the comic book industry has had on in the beginning. And when you ask them, did you ever imagine? They said, nope. I honestly thought that this industry was going to be out of business within 5 years. You know,
Yeah,
from
especially
when
in
they started.
the late '90s, I think was it when.
And the thing is, again, you end up having the entertainment industry picking up on it because you had the Spider-Man TV shows, you had the X-Men TV shows. I mean, you know, you had Superman TV shows, whether it was animation film or some type of TV show that was going on. So, what about you?
Me, writer-wise, I would say obviously Chris Claremont, obviously.
Yeah.
Alan Moore. Alan Moore
Okay.
is another one. Frank
He's
Miller.
kind of an enigma too.
Yeah.
It's kind of an
And
enigma.
I think that's what made him different from artists. First name that comes to mind is Art Adams.
Okay.
Because I like if you look at some of the more current artists, some of them say Art Adams is one of my influences.
Yeah.
Yeah, Walt Weezy. God, who else is there? I mean, we've already mentioned Todd. We mentioned Jim. John Byrne.
Yeah.
Got to say John Byrne. Obviously.
Which John is he was at New York Comic Con last year, and he was I think he might have been in San Diego that same year, but only for like a real quick appearance.
Yeah.
And then he's supposed to be at the Fan Expo shows coming when he was at Fan Expo Boston this past weekend. So I haven't had a chance to find out, but there was a lot of talk of very specific rules that had to be followed, things that he would sign, things he would not sign, and stuff like that. But
Gotcha.
anyway,
He's getting
glad to see him. Glad to see that John's back.
Oh yeah, of course.
Dave Cockrum.
Oh yeah, Dave Cockrum.
Yeah, speaking of Dave, I'm a little surprised. I'm actually working with a gentleman who is the executor of the Cockrum estate.
Okay.
And he has a whole bunch of and he's actually reaching out to me to want to maybe offer those to some of our customers.
Oh, nice.
Now,
beautiful.
Think about who Dave worked with, such as Chris and people like that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, needless to say, there are going to be the high profile that was signed by Dave Cockrum, and my understanding is that CGC, well, if it comes from this particular caretaker, they will recognize the signature on the book.
Oh wow!
So they will honor Dave by. This is something that just popped up recently, and I'm excited because I think it's something that collectors out there, especially Cockrum collectors, this will give them a chance to get stuff that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get.
Yeah, awesome.
You heard it here first.
We heard it here first. So last couple favorites. Michael Golden is another one of my favorites too.
Mike Zeck.
Mike Zeck, yeah. Mike Zeck. I wouldn't forget Mike Zeck. That'd be a great.
Which I have to call Mike. He called me earlier today.
So yeah, I mean those would be. I think those would be our. Legends.
And again, we could actually do a show just going on and on and on and on, naming people after people after people after people, and it would sound like a repeated record.
Cool.
Next
question is, who is your favorite underrated hero? Let me start with Cyclops.
Yeah.
Says the best leader the X-Men ever had. Storm was good, but Scott's leadership got the team through thousands of battles. He is known as second only to Captain America for team leaders, even better than Reed Richards. Reed was a mind, but he wasn't. I mean, in terms of leadership, I think it's definition.
Well, the thing is that honestly, you really think about it from the X-Men viewpoint. There's really only one X-Men who really.
Yeah.
Other than that, you have all these team players that have been involved, and each one bringing a certain element to the team. And yes, Scott, one of the things that Scott brought to the team was him being the team leader. And Logan, that made things even more interesting. But I can see Scott as being underrated.
Yeah, I agree. How about you?
Moon Knight.
Oh, that's a good one.
Moon Knight to me is like Marvel's version of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The guy he kicks ass, and he's one that I think people have just kind of forgotten about, and I think you're going to see him popping up in the movies pretty soon.
I hope so.
I have a feeling that he will be one of those characters you will see possibly coming in the next phase from Marvel.
Of the Galaxy and turn that into a blockbuster.
Yeah.
I don't see why they can't do it with Moon Knight.
Yeah, I agree. Another character that I think is kind of underrated, and it's
From Image?
well, he wasn't Image, he was Valiant.
Oh, was that the guy with the white skin and the red dot on his head?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and actually, Vin Diesel is they've been trying to basically reestablish the character and get him back out there again. But he was one of those characters that was hot for a period of time, but then kind of forgotten about. So
yeah, cool.
What about you?
I would say I'm thinking the original Nova, Richard Rider.
The original what?
Nova.
Okay.
Richard Rider.
Okay.
This guy's been all over the galaxy fighting everybody and everyone. And nobody really.
The difficulty when you have a character that has actually had multiple bodies, let's call it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
People have a tendency to, I think, kind of get lost with that. Versus you have let's face it, but Cap was still Cap.
Yeah.
He, some, like I said, there was a lot of characters out there that it was this person at one point, it was that person at one point, it was this person. And the sad part is, I think the time they get reincarnated in a new person,
yeah,
then people are like, oh, who's this? Oh, this is a new character. This is cool. No, he's really not that new.
Yeah. Like when they introduced the Nova Corps in Guardians of the Galaxy. They didn't show the one for the Earth. They just showed the whole group of them, and that was pretty much it. But bands, what do they call them? The mega bands or something like that?
I think so. I remember the character. I can't
again another
specifics about him.
Yeah, again a very low key hero, but I mean this guy's I think on several occasions he's gone through all that stuff and.
Well, if you're talking about that, look at Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I mean,
ultimately becoming Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
There again, you had a character who had that obviously made some, that made a big change when you went from male character to female character, and it's interesting that Marvel has chose the female version to introduce the character as the female version to the history of the origin of Captain Marvel.
Well, you know what? In some of the production pictures that were leaked, she had a green and black costume.
Yeah.
So I think they will be talking about the original Captain Marvel.
But again, I'm curious to see how they kind of transition or explain that. So. That's gonna be real interesting. I think Captain Marvel is going to be a big part again of the next phase of that Marvel's going to be rolling out.
Space contingency that they're just barely dipping their toes in, with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they still haven't mentioned the Skrulls. They haven't mentioned the Kree. I remember, even in the
well, they have in some of the characters you've seen in the movie. You're right. They haven't really gotten into the in-depth of like the Kree War or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, so, that's another.
That, and the thing is, now the space.
Yeah.
Where's it going to go from there? So,
and they haven't even begun to.
That brings up a lot of controversy with this whole thing with a gun being fired.
Oh yeah, no. You know what? I've read that
yes. There's now talk of they're trying to
bring it back.
This is because of the uproar of the cast.
Oh yeah.
And the fact is that he had written the next script, and it included Adam Warlock.
I'm sure it did.
There's some real legal mumble jumble that's going to have to go on. So
well, either way, I mean, I think if he wasn't the guy he was, then you wouldn't see these actors, just
No, I
you see a bunch of actors just kind of.
Again, part of the problem is that this is kind of the problem we have with social media and the internet. The internet, to a certain degree, doesn't allow anything to die.
How old was that content that they caught him on? Was it like 10 years old or something?
Yeah, it goes back a long time. And it's like, to a certain degree, how long is someone supposed to be held accountable for something that they said or did? Now, I'm not talking about breaking the law. We've all, at one point or another, said something or did something that was, we look back and go, I was young and stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I said that. I was young and stupid, I shouldn't have done that. But, but that comes with maturity. And next one.
The last topic is... Who do you think, as a comic creator, doesn't get enough credit for their impact on the industry?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Who do you think, as a comic creator, doesn't get enough credit for the impact they've had on the industry?
Get an award that is actually handed out for that exact purpose. It is called the Finger Award, and it is originally created for Bill Finger.
Gotcha.
And
that's a great one.
The whole reason for that is what Bill Finger was involved in, how Bob Kane and stuff, how he kind of took over, I'm not going to say all the credit, but a lot of the credit for Batman. Yeah. And it's interesting that Comic-Con years ago, they came out with what's called the Finger Award, which I think is so very appropriate, is that, basically, read between the lines is what it is. That that's kind of what it is industry. But here you go. And ironically, one of the early recipients of the Bill Finger Award, Larry Lieber.
Oh wow!
Think about that, Larry Lieber, Stan Lee's brother, co-creating those three right off the bat.
Yep.
Three of the major characters in the Marvel universe. And very few people really know anything about him or know about his involvement with those characters. He was the recipient of the Finger 2008. I could be wrong, but I think it was around 2008 is when I first met him. And he was in San Diego receiving the Finger Award.
That's crazy.
So my answer to that,
Bill
two
Finger.
originals, Bill Finger and Larry Lieber.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to have to co-sign with you about that whole situation. It's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long, and they actually had a gentleman that actually wanted to see what was going on. So he did all the research and followed family members and talked to them and got down to the whole nitty gritty of like getting Bill Finger. The movie came out in '89.
Okay. They
actually finally put credits, like they credited Bill Finger in the movie. So that was the first time we saw it. Other than that, you know what? Like I actually didn't have anybody. That doesn't mean I had the answer.
But didn't Free chime in?
He did. So his answer is Stan Sakai from Usagi Yojimbo. So most laymen only know the rabbit guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But Stan's storytelling and creations are well overlooked by the general public. Now, for me,
Free. I love you, man, but Lashley and Claremont are always on your mind. Chris Claremont, Ken Lashley, not to say that Lashley doesn't just speaking.
Yeah.
And part of it is again, you look at some of these guys, and it's a matter of them paying their dues to where they came from.
When did he actually start?
Lashley?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you that. Call Free and ask him.
I know.
I'm sure he knows.
I'm gonna look it up right.
No, he's been too busy drawing.
That guy.
The guy's employed. He's gainfully employed either from DC or Marvel. I'd rather be underrated than underemployed.
Let's see. That's true. We still got 5 minutes left on this topic, so we can take our time. This is our last one anyway.
Hey Jeff, do we have?
See, even comic mind is gonna say.
Roll that Jeopardy music.
See, Ken's stuff. Like usually, you would have a Wikipedia page that would list everything, but Wikipedia page set for him. So I'm just gonna pull up because he started with Marvel, right? The work history, comics were okay. No.
Basically,
Because like before moving here to Vegas, I don't remember ever collecting any of his comics or even hearing the name Ken Lashley. So he might have just been.
my credit goes out to the man. You know, anyone who's in this business and they're just out there, they're working hard, they're honing their craft, and ultimately what ends up happens, you should be able to stay busy.
Oh, you know what?
What?
He actually worked
Volume 1?
Volume 1. First issue was number 70.
Okay, so that was after Chris and Alan were on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were long off it by that time. Or was Chris writing it?
Albert, Chris was only on for like a few, like the first 10 issues or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is issue 70. So
Yeah.
October of '93.
93. But now, when was he born?
He is probably in his early to late.
This is turned into a big last week plug.
Oh, okay, here you go. Let's see. Penciler. He's got stuff from '95. The All New Exiles vs. X-Men. All New Exiles. He did Excalibur, obviously. Deadpool back in '94. See, I don't even know. It's not even a picture when he pulled up.
I guess I'm gonna have to break down and help you here.
Oh, see, this is all the stuff right here. He did an issue of Wetworks. '98. Wow. Okay. So, anyways, but that's our top 3 topics. You can keep on looking that up. God, we have about 8 minutes left. What do you want? What do you have lined up?
Oh, I have an interesting topic to talk about.
Okay, we have 8 minutes, so
Let's talk about Stan Lee.
See, we've always had this rule when it comes to Stan Lee that we have to be very careful about what we talk about. So I already know where you're going with this, and I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't know if we could bring this up. So since you bring this up, go right on ahead.
Okay, well, as constant ongoing battle of people to take control of Stan and his managing Stan and his appearances and stuff like that. I personally have seen Stan several times this year. 10 years in the last year. It's unfortunate that his previous handler, when Stan lost his wife Joni was the one who pretty much made the decision. She kind of ran the business also. Stan kind of answered to Joni, and so did Stan's handler, who I'm not going to mention his name. His handler decided to take Stan out on the road, increase his appearances at shows to the point where it almost seemed like he was at a show every weekend or every other weekend. And I know at one point he was in Australia. Here it is, Stan. So Stan flies all the way from Los Angeles to Australia. He does 2 shows in Australia, back-to-back shows, weekend-wise. Flies back home, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, turns around, flies back across the Atlantic again. Across the Pacific again to head to, I think it was Japan. At my age, that would wipe me out. I can only imagine what it would do to a 90-year-old man.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sorry, but a 12-hour flight, even in first class, is not an easy thing. After another, to the point where I know this year, Stan was scheduled to do a show in Kuwait. And then he was going to come back to the U.S. He had a couple of others, which I'll get into that in just a minute. And then he was scheduled to go back across the Pacific again to head to the Philippines. You know, these were all shows that were previously scheduled, and ultimately Stan had to cancel those appearances. Okay, so Stan was, I believe, I don't know if he was part owner of it or not. I don't have those specifics, but I know that he was very much involved with that show, and so they convinced Stan to come out. We saw the backlash of what happened with that. You know, we saw the video to handle the CGC element for that show, so that fans who wanted to get their books signed and graded were going to be able to do that. But we were simply there acting as a CGC witness, and that is all. We had no other time. Stan has been home. He has gone through several changes as far as things that have happened with the people who are managing him now. The individual that's managing him now, basically working with Stan's attorneys, have said, and this was that Stan was no longer going to be making appearances at comic book conventions. He was not going to be doing any more traveling like that, and that if he was going to sign anything, it was going to be in the comfort of his home. So basically, other companies, what we do is we end up making appointments with the handler, and we end up bringing items to Stan. We pay him the rate that he asks for, which his rate has gone up, and we simply bring the items in for what he's signing for us. That announcement went out. Unfortunately, the announcement made it sound like that Stan was no longer going to be signing at all, and in fact, that was not true. That, the signing that's going on now is not the next signing after this is going to be taking place in October, November, and because of things that have gone on with Stan, it significantly slows down his ability to sign. So where he used to go sign 500 books, even 1,000 books in one day, not anymore. Comfortable and relaxing for him, but it still is going to allow the fans to get their items signed by Stan Lee. So I just wanted to clarify all that and help people understand what's been going on and with the people that are taking care of Stan, and that our biggest, the thing that's most important to us is keeping Stan comfortable, and at the same time, Stan does enjoy signing for the fan and make the fans happy.
I commend you for that, because that is a major announcement. That's a major announcement. And you know what? Since we're on the topic, I wanted to talk about reaction that I got, because I was there at Silicon Valley. I saw Stan and saw what happened over there, and I jumped online and I basically said that he's 95 now?
He'll be 96 this year.
He'll be 96 this year. And like, to me, and this is my opinion, I just felt like he was being treated like an animal. They extended his signing hours, and he's going to sign more. And when I did that, there were actually people that responded to me and said, you know what, this is probably what he wanted to do. He wants to see his fans, and blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, you got stuff signed by him, and they were even told by staff, take a picture with Stan, but please do not touch him. And I look at his pictures, and he's got his hand on his shoulder, and I'm like, come on. So my thing is, and not be pushed, and just, I just can't imagine him signing thousands of signatures in a whole day,
I can tell you, I'm going to share a story with you. And again, a lot of this I couldn't talk about. The gentleman who was his manager for many years, his road manager, whatever you want to call him, we were in New York for New York Comic Con, and we had probably 500-600 books we get signed by Stan that had been sent in to us by customers. And he came across several books that had been signed by John Romita Sr. And so he sat there, and Sharon and I, my wife and I, were feeding the books to Stan. We're standing in front of Stan, across the table from him. And Stan looks at us and says, "Oh, is John here? Signed by John." And we said, "Well, Stan, we actually go to John's home, and we get the books signed by John in his home." And Stan looks at us and he says, "Well, why can't I do that?" And his handler was standing behind behind Stan, his throat, like, "Don't say a word. Don't say anything." And the reason for it is because we were perfectly comfortable with the idea of bringing these books to Stan. His handler would end up make more money by booking Stan in the shows than he would by simply having Stan sign books for fans in his home.
Oh, of course.
And so this goes back to like 2013 that this idea, you know, and we're not talking about completely stop doing shows at that time, but at the same time, you could have done it where it wouldn't have been so much of a push on Stan while at a show. Let him deal with the fans of the show. Worry about something like that, so that way it doesn't push him so much at a show. But unfortunately, his handler felt he did not. He had his own reasons for realize that was a point where, if you know the people that were handling him at the time, if they really cared about how he felt about it, they would have considered that as an option. A little bit more of a strain on us because now instead of us just coming to a show with the books, now we have to make a separate trip to Los Angeles and work around that. But we were willing to do that. That was part of the burden that was on us, and we were okay with that. If it made it easier for Stan, we were good with it. And is at home. He is signing. He now signs. My understanding is I believe he signs when he's sitting in his chair. So that limits the size of the items that he can sign because obviously you can't. If he's sitting in his chair, you can't have him sign this giant poster.
Yeah.
So for the most part, what we've been basically like putting a drawing board, kind of like how an artist will work with a drawing board. Kind of like putting a drawing board in front of Stan, you know, a small drawing board where he can hold it in his lap, almost like a TV tray or something.
Oh, gotcha.
And then he can, you can put the item in front of him and Stan can sign it. He's comfortable. And yet at the same time, him seeing the individual items that are coming across. It's his way of staying connected to the fans, knowing that the fans.
Wow. That's a lot of information, man. I gotta say. I mean, no, but I think it's something that had to be said. It's something that had to be said because I think like Stan is such a.
To be honest with you, I don't think there's honestly a single creator who can look back and say that this industry would have survived if it had not been for Stan Lee.
Yeah.
So not only was he instrumental and flourish in a period of time that it very easily could have just fallen to the wayside. It very easily could have just been one of those, it was a thing of the times and we've outgrown it. If you really look at what all he did, there's a lot of, people talk about how much did he contribute, how much did he write, how much did he, what all did he do. Stan actually did more than what most people realize. Now, was he the you look at people like Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby was not only was he a phenomenal artist, he was a phenomenal visionary in that Jack was able to come up with these awesome ideas and concepts. What Stan was really good about was taking the ideas that Jack would draw, because Jack, my understanding, again, this is what was conveyed to me by other creators in order, he would draw something as he saw it. So he would be doing panels as he had the ideas. What would end up happening is Stan would actually end up pulling some of that stuff together and start rearranging some of the panels to make the story work.
Wow, that's crazy.
And a phenomenal creator, phenomenal visionary, but he did have certain areas where Stan excelled at. Stan was the face of the business. He was ready to be the ringmaster. He was ready, and he was the one that was willing to take that burden on his shoulders, and he was the one that was willing to do what it took in order to get the books published. He went up against the federal government. I mean, at one point, we had the comic code and everything, and it's outdated. It doesn't serve us a true purpose.
Yeah.
And he went against that, and sure enough, what ended up happening? Nothing.
Yeah.
So he, again, you look at what Stan's contribution is. say, oh, well, you know, when Stan goes, I'll be the next Stan. No, you won't.
No, you won't.
No one will be the next Stan.
Tell you what, and I hate to cut you off.
I know. I should have started this in the beginning.
I know. That's totally. But you know what? It's a great time. It's going to be you and I again.
I thought you were going to be in Hawaii.
No, I'm back on Monday.
Oh.
I'm only gone for the weekend.
Okay.
So,
by the way, Jack says you owe him his prizes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Drink. Remember your cell phone? I go, yes, and I paid off on that.
So, anyways,
but you have to bring him his prizes.
I will bring him his prize. Remember, I don't know what you were offering, but like Free was supposed to give him a pop figure or some sort.
Yeah, and I wasn't.
You already take care of that or no?
Oh, I'm sure I have a copy of it at the office. So
okay.
When do you leave?
I leave Friday morning.
Okay.
So we might have to just mail it if you don't see me in time. Stanley, we should just do the whole Stanley show. I think it's. I mean, it sucks that Free isn't here, but I don't know. There's so much. I'm sure holding back all of the stuff that we were talking that we were not supposed to talk about.
We'll save it.
We'll definitely save it.
And let's. I would love to be able to do it where maybe even have a creator or two be able to call in.
Yeah, we can do that too.
And chime in on that. I mean, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
Even if it's maybe some sound bites with some cool stuff.
You never know.
But Roy Thomas, he knows he knows that our interview got cut off because someone called me on the. Yes, Mr. Me, I was dumb enough that I didn't disconnect my phone or put my phone in airplane mode before. Roy acknowledged that he might even call in.
All right, well, we'll make that happen. We got to make that happen. So
absolutely.
In the meantime, we got to cut this off. We got stuff to do outside of the studio.
I got places to go, things to do.
So that's it for our show, folks. Thanks for tuning in. This is Geeked Out right here on Deftal Radio. Peace.